There's that one with the very weird alien things that just kind of sit around and I can't remember what they're called, but it's just like insane. It's like insanity.
What are you talking about? Hey, welcome to episode 161 of Front Seat Gamer. I'm Nick. I'm here with Paul.
Hey.
And Blake.
Hey.
How's it going, guys?
Pretty good. We've been away, we just realized, for a very long time.
Yeah, it's been 2.5 months.
We're just sitting here thinking like, it was probody like mid-December was our last episode.
It was like... I was like mid-November.
Yeah.
Mid to late November.
Yeah,
being generous to ourselves.
But now it's now.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it's early February.
Now, yep. Hopefully you guys have played at least a game in the last 2.5 months.
I've done nothing.
Am I supposed to still remember them?
I mean, it would definitely make for better listening if we could.
Okay.
But brain injuries can't help.
Yeah.
Can't be helped.
Did you guys get up to anything interesting over the time we've been gone?
I went on a cruise.
Oh yeah, that was
cruise.
cool.
Yeah, I went to. We flew to Sydney and then on a cruise from Sydney to New Caledonia and back.
Wow.
And then flew back to New Zealand.
Nice.
And that was pretty good. Ate a lot of stuff.
How long was that for?
8 days, I think. We stopped in Noumea, which is like I think maybe the capital of New Caledonia. We stopped there twice, and neither time did I get off the boat.
Wow.
So the situation was pretty good on the boat then?
Yeah, I mean, like I've been to Noumea before.
Oh yeah, so it's old, it's boring.
It's just a city. Like it's just like you're kind of small. It's like going to Hamilton in New Zealand.
Oh, okay.
So no one's going to Hamilton and
Yeah.
getting off. No one's going to Hamilton for Hamilton's sake. Right?
Yeah.
They're on their way to somewhere else.
And
I've
you're
taken...
completely justified in not getting out of the car if you stop there.
Exactly. You get out in Hamilton when you need to eat or go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I've taken the bus that stops in Hamilton for like 20 minutes, and the bus driver's always like, "All right, come on, you stretch your legs and go get something to eat." I never leave the bus.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I can see that scaling up.
You
to
also
I
have to
did,
leave your
um,
belongings, right?
Yeah. That too.
I did get it. I was taking a bus from Auckland to Plymouth, and I had to do like a bus swap in Hamilton. And some dude came up to me and was like, "Hey, do you want a tattoo?"
What?
It's like I got my gear in my bag.
What?
I'm like, "No, I'm all right, thank you."
And that's how I got this swastika.
It's just selling tattoos on the street.
Yep.
Oh my
And
god.
it's specifically waiting for people to get off buses to see if they wanted to get a tattoo before their next
That's
bus.
wild.
What?
It's probably good because he would only have to do like half one, and then people have to get on their bus and carry on.
Yeah.
So Noumea is better than that, but
Did your wife get off?
no. We just
Nobody
stayed
got
on.
off.
No, I mean so we went with my mother, my brother, and my wife's parents.
Yeah.
And
Everyone stayed on the boat.
no, at least my mom and my brother and his wife, they all got off.
Oh, yeah.
But
Did your mum come back with any tattoos?
not that I've seen. I haven't asked. It would be surprising.
Yeah.
It's probably worth checking though.
You know, I think we're gonna leave that.
Like
one
I met a very nice man. I couldn't say no. It was such a bargain.
He just has gear with him.
He
so.
just has gear with him. He
It's
did it
very
right on the dock.
convenient. But yeah, no, ate lots of food, and that's all I really want out of a cruise is and played lots of trivia. That was it.
Oh, yep.
So like they had trivia, I would say 4 to 5 times a day.
Right.
And if you win, you get a medallion.
Oh, yeah.
So we won 10 medallions.
Holy. Do listeners know that you're like a trivia king?
I don't know. Do you?
They do now.
They do now.
Email
10
friendsyquestions@gmail.com
Man.
and tell me if you know I'm a trivia king. I'm actually not a trivia king. I just enjoy it. I'm like maybe a little above average. Like the people who are good at trivia are ridiculous.
Trivia Duke.
At best, I'm like, a knight.
Okay. Yep. All right.
I'm in service of the king.
Yeah. Because you were doing trivia every week for a while.
Yeah, and never winning.
Oh, I never won.
Never winning.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I came along for a while too.
Yeah.
I was definitely not good at it.
You provided, it's always about like having a variety of minds more than it is about like knowing. And
The stuff I know stuff about though isn't trivia questions.
Yeah, if there's any like web dev stuff that pops up, you'd be like, yes, now's my time to shine. This is it.
if your CSS is failing, what do you? So yeah, that was a cruise. It was fun.
That's cool.
It
That's cool. Was it? It was good weather, right?
doesn't matter. You're on a boat.
Oh,
I mean,
that's why you never leave the. Never...
I think it rained at some points.
Yeah.
But otherwise it was fine. Yeah, it was
wow.
weather doesn't matter when you're indoors playing trivia or eating.
I see. Yeah.
So you weren't just on a boat; you were inside a boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. Why would I go outside of the
bowels
boat?
of the ship? When I
sun's out there, I don't want to go
Yeah,
out
because
there.
when I think of a cruise,
Uh-huh.
maybe you think of this as well.
Drinking
Paul.
on the top of the boat.
Yeah, it's like lounging by a pool
Yeah.
on a boat on water already.
Yeah.
Here's the thing.
Water on water.
Water on water is like
Because it's probably got a pool.
yeah.
It did have a pool. Yeah. Have you guys have either of you been on a cruise before?
Never been
Okay.
on a cruise.
So, just a reminder, this is a video game podcast. So
We'll
pools.
get to the games eventually.
That's why we've got to learn what cruises are, because otherwise we would.
So pools are the cruises. They are away from the land for a period of time.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right. They
okay.
fill those pools and hot tubs up, presumably, like at land,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
and then, people are swimming in those things for days,
Yep.
and that water doesn't get replaced. There's no outside source of water like cycling it.
I get it. Yeah,
so
that's true.
if I were to go swimming on a cruise, it would be on day 1 or 2, and then never again.
Yep. That one too, where you pee all you want in the pool.
Yeah, like everyone else.
Yeah.
So that's my philosophy about bodies of water
I think you might be right.
on
Yeah,
a cruise
yeah.
ship.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they don't just use salt water. Because if you're in the middle of the ocean
Yeah.
and you're looking for an outside
Yeah.
body of water to refill the
You
pool,
just get a hose and pump it straight
yeah,
back in.
you put the gross water, I guess, back in the ocean. Which
Yeah.
doesn't sound great, but
Uh-huh.
and then pump the
Boy.
perfectly clean
Yeah.
ocean water back.
back in.
Maybe. I don't know. I've never even really investigated the procedures. This is just
Yeah.
an assumption of mine, really.
I mean, it makes sense.
It
To me,
doesn't.
that-
Yeah.
That would end up
Yeah.
like at the end.
Also-
it's probably just stagnant water, right?
Also, aren't you meant to not go in the water until an hour after you've eaten?
No, and you're just constantly-
And I've never. It's never gone an hour where I haven't eaten on a cruise. Like, okay, there is a place you could. First of all, there's a soft serve machine that was accessible all
Oh.
hours of the day.
Yep.
And then there was like a place where they would make pizzas
Oh my
until
god.
4 a.m.
Oh my god.
Like fresh. Like these were not like bases that they would just have frozen. They were making the bases as well.
Wow.
They were good pizzas. And that's just like one of the specified restaurant things. They had like a burger joint, they had a barbecue
God.
joint, they had an Indian joint, they had
Yeah.
a deli, they had the buffet, they had a restaurant, they had 2 restaurants, and then
Oh
they had
my
like the
God.
fancy stuff that you had to like pay for.
Did you do any of the fancy stuff
We
that
did,
you
we
paid
did,
for?
we did the chef's table.
Oh
It
yeah.
was like a degustation.
Oh.
Which is, I think it was 7 courses.
Is that the giant plates with tiny little
Yeah, that kind of thing.
quail eggs that are not quail
There
eggs,
are no
but
quail
something
eggs.
else?
However, okay, so it was really good.
Yeah.
Let me say that it was like, and most of the courses were fantastic. And when you go to like a fancy restaurant, they do weird things with the food. It's inevitable. Like there's foams and gels and all these things that like, they're doing things to food that are strictly unnatural.
Yep.
Most of them are justified, right? Because it gets to a goal, right? It's like it adds something to the flavor or the texture or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, I get it. It's not just for the sake of
It's
being.
not just for the sake. It's usually
Yeah.
like the chef wants this thing to be like a jelly.
Yep.
And so there was one dish that was just so far in one direction.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, I'm just going to describe it to you.
Yep.
It was described on the menu as lobster bisque sphere,
Oh.
dehydrated onion soup, and beef tea.
Oh.
Okay, so then they bring out this bowl, and there's like a little orb, and then on top of the orb is like a jelly, like a brown jelly, like a flat brown jelly pancake.
Is that the soup?
That's the dehydrated onion soup.
Yep.
And then they come around with like a hot pot of I guess beef tea.
Oh my god.
And they pour it in there, and then you, the diner, have to break the beef the lobster bisque sphere, and then stir it through and dissolve it.
Oh
and
my
dissolve
god.
the dehydrated soup.
They told you this?
Yes, which just begs the question of like, why did they separate all these elements out?
Yeah.
If the goal was soup.
Yeah, the goal was to have a beefy, oniony, seafoody soup, and it tasted good.
Maybe
but, like,
they're just so busy in the kitchen. They gotta have some of the food preparation handed over to the diners.
That's my issue. Is not the stirring and the dissolving. My issue is the fact that they split all these elements up in the first place.
Well, they might
If
be.
the end goal is all these things are going to be combined.
Yeah. They can just give you
Just
the
give
end
me the
goal.
soup. Give me the soup. It's fine. I don't need to do this whole step. You guys could have saved a lot of time. So, like, usually it's like, okay, it's a jelly, and you eat it as a jelly. But this was just
Yeah.
we've deconstructed the soup. Now reconstruct the soup.
Reconstruct it, yeah.
It's just missing like a packet of dried noodles.
It's just-
Yeah. Yeah, that would be great. Somebody busts out a pack of
If only
dry
someone
noodles.
came up with an idea like that.
Here's some flour and some water. You're gonna have to make some noodles real quick.
Well, we had deconstructed cold brew coffee,
Yes.
which I think is it sounds like this thing you're talking about was like even a step further, where
yeah,
it's like
in the case of the deconstructed cold brew coffee, it's like you can proportion.
and it's really just like what coffee, milk, and the sweetener.
Yeah, which
in
is
different
literally
things.
every
And-
coffee anyway,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
They didn't give us dehydrated coffee that we then had to rehydrate with some sphere.
Yeah, it wasn't a milk sphere.
Yeah.
and water tea.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, if they had brought out an ice cube and I had to wait and watch it melt before I could drink it,
Yeah.
that's
They bring out a unfrozen ice cube tray, and give you a canister of
liquid nitrogen. yeah. So that was a good meal, but that was a weird course.
Wow,
real odd one.
that was a weird one.
And I've done fine dining a few times.
Yeah.
This is the only course in memory
Mm.
where I was like, what is the point of any of this?
Yep, yep. Have you seen a movie called The Menu?
No, I've heard good
I haven't
things,
watched it,
though.
but I've heard it's very hoity-toity food critic like.
But
type of
it's like a
thing.
murder thriller,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I've been meaning to watch it, but like I think you would probably really appreciate it a lot because you've done a bunch of fine dining.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm keen to. Anyway, so video games. Oh, wait, what did you guys do?
Not a lot really. I did go down and visit family, but since I've been back, mostly climbing.
Uh-huh. You're looking particularly swole, I must say.
I'm feeling particularly sore. It's a really fun hobby, but it like hurts a lot, and only afterwards.
Your fingers, like there's.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I remember because we did rock climbing a few times.
I did it once.
Okay. Well, I did it a few times. Nick did it once.
Yeah.
But I remember like for a couple of days after, your fingers feel real sore, and they just, for me at least, was clicking my fingers like constantly.
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
like it feels like it's all in the bones and the tendons.
Mm.
It's fun though. So.
Yeah.
Did you play any video games?
I did. I don't know what I played in like November,
That's
That was a while ago. Yeah.
but I did start playing Disco Elysium recently.
I've heard very good things about that game.
Yeah, it came up because there's a YouTube channel I watched that was talking about it.
What's
the
the
YouTube-
YouTube channel?
Well, it's completely unrelated to video. Well, not completely. It's called How to Drink. It's a cocktail channel where
Okay.
the dude quite often
Okay.
makes
Is it
like drinks from
themed?
video games. and
Right,
things.
yeah.
But yeah, he'd been playing Disco Elysium, and I was like, it sounded interesting, so I thought I'd check it out. It's very weird, but it's cool.
Mhm.
And I did start playing Super Auto Pets again.
Oh my god.
I played that a few days ago, actually.
Did you?
Yeah. They've changed. Their sets are getting weird.
Yeah, well, I realized, I found out they've got a weekly thing where they rotate out which pets you can play with every week, and which foods are available too for upgrades. So the meta kind of changes every week.
Yeah.
I've only played this one since playing again, but it's really cool because it feels completely different to what I was doing before.
Yeah. It's a fun game. But it's easy to get steamrolled. And
Yes.
feel like you just didn't get good options.
Yep. And sometimes
That's
you
just the
need
nature of it,
to, like, usually in those cases, you kind of need to like pivot at some point and completely change what it was you started out doing.
Yeah.
And if you don't get the options, usually you get something though. It's just whether you actually get the opportunity to make that turn into something good.
Yeah. Blake.
I was playing Doom.
Yep.
We
Which one?
I was 2016,
Okay.
and I know we had a chat about it, and you were playing
Eternal.
Yeah. So that's interesting.
Thank you for telling me that was interesting.
That was
wondering.
interesting. That was
Well, because
interesting.
the whole point was that you guys were going to play Doom, right, and then talk about it.
Yeah, and then
But
we
you just picked different Dooms.
Yeah,
we just
yeah.
picked different games.
Technically,
which
we
I
did.
which I think is good. But yeah, we were playing that. Well, at least I started playing it, and then we never did another podcast.
Well, what did you do in the break?
In the break, I visited family, and then came back, and I just enjoyed not going to work for a few weeks. As I've gotten older, that has been the thing I look forward to the most. Is just not having any responsibilities, and waking up in the morning and being like, I've got like nothing I need to do today. You know. I know you have a child, so those days are over.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I was like,
until she
those
moves
days a little bit.
until she moves out, and then you'll be like, oh my god.
That's only anywhere between 16 and 40 years.
Yeah. But yeah, it used to be like, I would go away and do stuff, and then I would come back and then go straight back to work the next day.
Yep.
And that sucks. Then you just feel like you need another holiday.
Yep.
So over the years, that space between doing stuff and going back to work has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger until I was just like, why don't I just stop doing stuff and just enjoy not doing anything?
Yeah.
Yep. So that's where I am in my life.
That's good.
Yeah.
I do think it's good to have like a week of, because going away and doing Christmas and everything definitely doesn't feel relaxing.
No, it's exhausting. Like seriously, it's like Christmas and then New Year is like a 2-week like whole thing where you're visiting family, friends are coming over, you're going to like places and that. And then once that's over, then I feel like, oh my god, I can relax now finally.
Yeah, and actually have the break that
and actually
you were
have the
intending to
break
take
that-
off.
Yeah, the break that technically I started 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That I'm finally like, oh, that's it. I've got all my obligations are over. Now I can just enjoy not doing anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the Warcraft episode of South Park where they
Yeah.
they grind pigs in Elwyn Forest for however long, and then they beat the guy and like, now we can play the game.
Yeah. What do we do now? Now we can play World of Warcraft. Yeah. So it was like that. But I played a lot of Crusader Kings.
Crusader Kings, right?
Yep.
Yes. 3.
Yep. 3.
Yep.
I've talked about that game a little bit on the podcast, but like, man, that is such a good game. I really like that game a lot.
It does seem very much up your alley. It's a 4X game, right?
It's a 4X game, and it's all you're doing the whole empire management. And what's great is that you start. Well, I always start from like just owning one small territory, so I have like a lord above me, and then slowly over the years taking on more and more power until I just overthrow that lord, and then I've got another king above them, and do the same thing slowly. And so it's just like over generations, because when your character dies, you continue playing as the heir. And then that's always like a roll of the dice as well. But yeah, and then slowly over generations, you just accrue more and more power, and you watch your empire just like grow and grow and grow. And then when you get big enough, parts of the empire just grow by themselves without you actually doing anything. Because
cool.
I'm at an emperor level now, so
Yeah.
I've got all these kings under me, and under them are a
bunch of
other
dukes and lords.
yeah,
and
all
whatever,
that sort of stuff, and they're fighting amongst each other, and they'll just go and start wars with neighboring territories that don't affect me, but like I'll look and notice that like, my empire over there
I
has
control
just
Sweden now. That's
yeah,
weird.
yes, it does. like a thing will pop up and say you can create the kingdom of Denmark now, or like the kingdom of Sweden, and I'm like, what? Why can I do that? And I look and like someone in that like a local king in there has taken over so much territory that it can be classed as a new kingdom.
How sad for that guy who's been like murdering and pillaging and like trying to get your attention, and he's like, "Look, my lord, I've got Sweden now," and you're like, "What? Who are you?
I'm like,
How did this happen?
Who's this guy? Who's going on here?"
Thanks, I guess.
There was one part where so I started in Iceland and slowly worked my way across like Northern Europe.
Yeah.
Not engaging with England and that area, because I was my civilization are like Viking guys, and marrying into Viking families is just like much easier. And then Catholics who control England and that just don't like you; they hate you. So you've got no chance of like marrying into there and taking over areas that way. So slowly started taking over like Northern Europe, like Scandinavia in that section. And then at one point I noticed I owned like this tiny little piece of territory in like the center of Europe. I was like, how did that happen? And it's like one of the like lords had just like started some war with someone in the middle of Europe and got that land. And then gradually over time that just grew and grew and grew until it like joined up with the rest of my empire. It was like it's such a weird thing.
Are you playing single player?
Yeah.
They have multiplayer though, right?
I think they do.
It's probably of a similar pace as like Stellaris.
Yeah, I think it is. I have heard, because I've talked to Josiah, who was on our Stellaris episode a long time ago.
That seems like his sort of game as well.
That's definitely his sort of game. Although I don't think he likes it as much as
Stellaris.
No, Stellaris or what's that? Universalis.
Europa.
Yeah. That's one that a lot of people seem to really go for.
Okay, yeah.
Which I tried playing, but I find that even harder to understand than Crusader Kings.
Yeah, I really like 4X games, but you have to put aside 3 hours to learn the basics.
Yeah. When I first started playing Crusader Kings, it was like I sat down and was like, right, I'm going to learn Crusader Kings, as if sitting down to be like, I'm going to learn how to play the piano.
Yeah.
It was like that kind of thing. And I just set aside basically half the afternoon, 3 or 4 hours to just go through the tutorial.
Yeah. Sometimes I think about that. Like, and the other thing, like with the 4X game, is usually that first game is a throwaway, and probably the second or third game is a throwaway as well.
They
like,
always are.
Where you fall really far behind. Either you straight up lose, or you're like 8 hours in and you go, okay, I'll start another one.
Yeah.
Or in Blake's case, you're 50 hours in and there's no point. There's no ending because you've turned off all of the win conditions. And
Crusader
They
Kings
haven't even finished the game yet.
Huh?
They haven't even finished the game yet.
Crusader Kings 3 is it still in
no,
early?
it's just
running
with the early access.
Yeah, that's true. Don't worry, it's not really.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Actually, I never finish a game because the games aren't finished that I mostly play.
That's also very fair.
Yeah.
But I think about that amount of time and that process, and I think if I was doing woodworking, like if I took that mentality to something where at the end of it I had something to show off.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice?
I
don't.
I will never play those games. I just will not invest that amount of time to learning how to play a game before playing it.
They're fun and they're interesting, and they provide like it's at least for me it often is the sort of game that will occupy your mind at night.
Yeah, it does. I would go to bed thinking about tomorrow I need to like get this alliance or sway this person or like marry this person off to that person.
Yeah.
Or just be like, okay, I need to work on all my lords not uprising against me.
Yeah.
Like some I was getting into just before saying that, you play as your heir, which is a roll of the dice because there's a chance that your heir is just like all your vassals just don't like them. And then you spend like pretty much half that dude's life.
Or worse than that, it's a woman.
Ooh.
Because in
Yeah.
medieval Europe that was
I get it.
That was
I get it.
I'm not trying to be sexist.
Well,
Just FYI.
that's a
I'm just saying facts here. That
well, that's a goal I'm trying to like work towards now because like I've well actually
more sexism or
yes. No, having equal succession.
right.
Because my civilization and my religion don't allow that. But I've gotten so advanced now that I can eventually put that into law.
So advanced.
Oh yeah, you gotta get out of the tribal stage and into the medieval
Yeah.
state. You gotta adopt feudalism before you can even think about giving people equality.
Just wait until you unlock like iron armor.
Oh,
It's gonna be unbelievable.
yeah.
That actually sounds like a kind of game I would love to play if I had the time.
Yeah, it's definitely a time sink. Like I have been playing that one game. That game probably was like 5 weeks, I think, and I got to a point where, like, so I wanted to advance into the feudal era, into adopt feudalism.
Yep.
So I could advance my technology because I'd hit a point in other games where. I started off in the tribal phase and I'd researched all the technology and I couldn't advance any further because I would have to, in order to adopt feudalism, I had to reform my religion. And that was like a lifetime of investment into being able to do that. Like I had to like
right, as in like that character would have to commit their whole life.
Yeah,
to
commit their whole life to like
Right.
all these things because you need so much of the resources that you get, like renown and religious points and money, that their whole life's goal is to basically be able to like click this button. And I did it, and it was
My
like
father couldn't click the button.
yeah,
His father couldn't click the button, but
Yeah.
I will click the button.
it was seriously like that. And then finally that happened. I was like, that's the one goal I've been working towards for
Wow.
like 5 weeks.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I'm like, I haven't actually played as much since.
Wow.
Just because it was like that was such a monumental effort to do, and I was sitting there like watching the thing ticking in, and the guy who I was playing as is getting older,
Yeah.
and he got into his 60s, and I was like, oh god, he could die at any minute. Like, is he gonna make
Yeah.
it? So
Yeah. Don't go hunting.
yeah.
Don't eat any special food.
Yeah. And I'd gone down like all these
Don't get a scratch.
because it was exactly like that. Don't do anything that might hurt you at all. Just live in a pillow like palace. That's it. Because I'd gone like you can get he builds up experience points in different like categories.
Okay.
And like events that pop up add experience points to that, but also you can just choose what they focus on for like a few years.
Yep.
And you unlock like passive skills basically in that. So I'd gone down this path of like the health route.
Just staying alive.
Just staying alive as long as possible, like, to ensure that I live long enough to be able to click that damn button.
Yeah. And you managed to do
And I
it.
did, and then I was like, "That's it,
Congratulations.
yeah, that's it."
I beat the game.
Yeah, and then the problem was afterwards. So that guy eventually died. Son takes over.
Yep.
Everybody hates him, and I'm like, "Oh my god, my empire's gonna fall apart after all of this."
Oh no. Oh dear. I got recently, like as in a few days ago, I bought a game called Reigns
Oh yeah,
mobile. Have you heard of Reigns?
no,
I feel like someone mentioned another podcast or someone told me about it or something. Maybe someone emailed in. I don't know. You can email us at frenzygamer@gmail.com and tell us if you told us about Reigns.
Yeah.
But it is a sort of similar style.
oh yeah,
Hyper simplified. So like it is about like running a kingdom
yep,
and
yep.
then you die inevitably.
Yeah.
And then your heir takes over.
Oh, cool.
And,
Yeah,
it's fun.
yeah.
I'd give it a shot. There's apparently a bunch of different versions of it,
Oh, that's cool.
but I just got the original.
I do like that kind of thing of like your heir takes over.
Yeah.
Because then it really is it's a game changer, right? Because you're playing one track and you're
Yeah.
like, I'm set up pretty well. All my vassals love me.
Yeah.
You know, I've got all my family are there. You know, they're all ruling, and then that guy dies, and then
Throws a
you
wrench
take
in the
over. Yeah, and then
works.
suddenly
Yeah.
all your now brothers have claims against you, and will
Yeah.
start factions to take over the thing
Yeah.
from you, and you're like, oh my god, like
Yeah. In Crusader Kings in particular, I think it's really cool.
yeah.
It's less interesting in like Mountain Blade, where it's just like now you are that character.
Yeah, I suppose. I guess it adds a bit of realism in a way
Yes.
to Mountain Blade.
Yes,
And
and it also means that you don't just disregard their skills and stuff.
Yeah,
entirely.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
still, all that stuff still
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah, you were saying there is a version of Mountain Blade where you do continue on as an heir, right?
It's just the main.
Was that the
version.
main game?
I'm pretty sure.
Because I've not played.
At some
I've-
point you become too old and die. I'm pretty sure.
Oh right, okay,
And I think you can even play a mode where you have a chance to die in combat.
right.
Like there's like
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
that's a difficulty setting.
Yeah, because that would be quite interesting. Yeah, because I haven't played since early access, and they didn't have any of that.
It's worth playing again. I reckon it's still the same core game,
Yeah,
but it's a little more polished and stuff. Doom.
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 Did you play any Doom,
Doom.
Paul?
No, I didn't.
I thought you were gonna play Doom 95.
Shit, I wish I did.
Or there's a mobile Doom called Mighty Doom, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, I've tried that.
Have you played that?
It barely ran on my phone.
Oh my god.
And I have like a pretty good phone. And
Oh,
I've played
boy,
other similar style games.
Yeah.
There's one I was playing ages ago called like Tank Hero or something. And there's another one called Archero.
Arturo, yeah. another one.
They're all the same sort of similar
Okay.
style of game. But
It didn't
whatever
run very well,
whatever was going on with Doom,
Oh, no.
it would just heat up and lag.
Oh,
my
God.
phone would heat up. And,
There's
and like
that-
I have a pretty
oh.
good phone.
Yeah.
Not current gen, but like
Yeah.
last gen, I think even.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. What is it? Doom 95? That
No, it's like a
It's a different-
top-down shooter, I think, right?
Yeah.
ah okay.
I haven't played it, but it looks a little bit like Vampire Survivors.
Oh right, yeah, yeah.
Probably more like Galaga. I don't know.
If I remember
Galaga.
right, you were just like running through rooms,
Shoot
like
dudes.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was the dodge them attacking you and
Right.
shoot back.
Yep.
Maybe shooting was automatic.
Yeah.
feel like
that
usually
sounds
it
a bit
isn't
like
those-
Vampire Survivors kind of.
Yeah, but maybe you had abilities. Maybe you had like 2 abilities or something. I'm unsure whether I'm confusing this with that tank game,
Right.
but they are. I remember them being very similar.
Yeah. Yeah. It does look like an archetype of a different genre. Like,
Hmm.
uh,
It's definitely not like
it's not Doom.
Yeah.
It's not what you would expect from a game called Doom, basically.
Interesting. Okay.
But you've played Doom 2016.
Yep.
Or you have been playing it.
I have been. Yep.
I played through Doom Eternal, and I've also played through a good portion of 2016.
Oh really?
Yeah. I don't specifically remember where I'm up to. I think I got through the first hell level.
Okay. Yeah, I got through the first Hell area as well, and
Yeah.
then got back to
Mars or
Mars.
whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
And I gotta say, Eternal is a much better game.
Oh.
Like Doom.
Well, that sounds good because that's what you want from a sequel.
Yeah, they really focus on the mobility
Yep.
of a character in Eternal, and they fix up a lot of the sort of like rough edges of 2016, and like
Okay.
they look at us particularly at like the alternate fire modes of the weapons and things like this, and just kind of make them sort of better. I guess
Just
another
better.
way,
Just
another way of
more
saying
and
it is
better.
they improve it.
Yeah.
It's also beautiful looking.
Yeah.
It,
Like graphics wise, how does it compare to 2016?
it's a lot better.
It's just a lot better.
It's a lot better.
It didn't come out even that like much after.
4 years.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Maybe 5 even. Anyway,
Yeah. Okay.
really enjoyed it. It makes me think. So one of the mechanics they have, I think they might even have it in Doom 2016, is like the super shotgun. Has like a sort of hook shot
Oh.
thing. Maybe they don't have it in 2016, but like you can like target an enemy and
Yeah.
like use the alternate fire mode, and
Oh, yeah.
it'll like lock onto them and zip you over to there.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. I've not seen
And you have
that.
a little bit of mobility while you're like
Yep.
on the way there, so you can kind of fling yourself around and stuff. And that's like a huge amount of additional mobility.
Hmm.
And in the expansions for Doom Eternal, they turn that into like a mechanic where it's like there are essentially grapple points.
Yep.
You use your super shotgun, you
Oh, wow.
grapple around, and it just made me think like if they had separated that mechanic from the super shotgun, that would have made the game
Like
even
it's
better.
just a thing that you can do
Yeah,
without
because-
having to use that
Because
particular
that game
weapon.
has a lot of awesome mobility mechanics as it is. You've got your double jump, you've got your
Yeah.
like double dash.
Yep.
Mario Kart style double dash. It's a GameCube reference, maybe I don't know. Anyway,
Nice.
The limitation of having it attached to a specific weapon.
Yeah.
And it's a very good weapon, but the limitation means that like you tend to have that weapon out most of the time.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
feels at odds with what they're trying to do with
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
low
because
armor.
there is a lot of
ammo
like
caps and stuff.
they do really like encourage a lot of weapon switching.
Yes.
Which is something I really like because most games, you know, for first person shooters or whatever, you just find the one weapon that you're like, this is the one.
Yeah.
And then that's it.
Yeah. So that
yeah.
they do a few things. They have low ammo caps. There's no reloading,
Yeah.
which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Like what an interesting change. I thought.
Yeah,
Like,
I know that is great.
How do they handle reloading instead? Do you just only
just
have
have
one
limited
don't
ammo.
missing?
reload it. You just your ammo cap is essentially the
Yeah.
limit for firing.
Okay.
So, like
I guess the reload is then going and getting more ammo.
exactly
Yeah.
yeah. So like you've
I
got a chain gun that has like 200 bullets, and once like you can just fire until that runs out.
Yeah.
Your shotgun, will just essentially reload between shots automatically, but it's just part of the fire rate. Like,
Yeah.
there's no moment where you have to. It's like and then like reload. It's just
It's great because it's just like that is the flow of that game.
It removes
that would
an
help
element
to-
of upkeep for the player's like mind. You
Yeah.
don't have to worry about hitting R after each fight.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and instead they push you towards like you have to keep collecting ammo. And,
Yeah.
and swapping between weapons.
And the swapping between weapons is like you end up knowing what weapons work best on what enemies.
Yeah.
And so you just like it ends up to me feeling like a puzzle. Like you go into an area that's like basically an arena and you see certain enemies and you're
Yeah.
like, okay, switch to this weapon to take out those, switch to this weapon to take out those. Like
Yeah.
it's just kind of like a puzzle in a
They
way.
have that. They have that maybe to too great a degree in some of the expansion stuff in Doom Eternal.
Oh yeah.
But the core game, it feels great, and they also introduce essentially weak points on enemies.
Okay, that's cool.
So it's not headshots.
Yep.
It's like, they've got these like rocket dudes in Doom 2016. You know the ones I'm talking about. Like got like little jetpacks. And they fly around, they shoot rockets at you.
Yep.
You can shoot off the jetpack
Oh,
components.
right, yeah.
And that stops them from flying around and being able to launch rockets.
Yeah.
So like, and then there's like these big scorpion things that have like a tail weak point. The cacodemons, you can launch grenades or throw grenades into their mouths.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
so like you can tackle each enemy in a slightly different way.
Mm.
It gets a little bit problematic in the expansion when you've got like there's a spirit enemy, which is essentially just like a buff on a dude.
Okay.
And it's like you kill the normal monster,
Yeah.
and it's way harder, and it moves way faster, and it doesn't get stunned, and it's like a real pain in the butt.
yeah.
And then when you kill it, the spirit comes out,
Yeah.
and there's only one mode of one weapon that can actually
Oh,
deal with
what?
it.
Uh,
But if you're out of ammo for that particular gun,
then the spirit will find a different thing to possess.
oh,
and you
right.
fight that next thing
Oh,
in a super
geez.
hard mode. And so it's like you have to make sure that you have that weapon
Yeah.
sort of at the ready when you see the spirit.
Yeah, I don't
But-
know. So then you're like saving that weapon for. I
Exactly.
don't like that. Yeah.
And they do that for a couple other enemies as well.
Yeah.
It just feels a little bit too specific.
Yeah, they went too far a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, but is that just in an expansion, or is that?
It's in the expansion.
Yeah.
You get a taste of it in the core game. There's
Yeah.
these like I forget the name of them, like barbarians or gladiators or something. It's
Yep.
essentially like a big scary looking demon that has an axe and a shield,
Okay.
and it's invulnerable while it has the shield out, and then when it tries to attack you,
Yep.
its eyes will flash green for a second.
Oh, right.
And you can hit it with a shotgun, like a super shotgun blast or a rocket launcher
Yep.
or another high powered weapon.
Yep.
To stun it and then get a couple shots in.
Oh, cool.
But there's like only 3 weapons that really seem to
Yeah.
work effectively
yeah,
for
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
not like a huge problem because 3 weapons is plenty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When it's one,
when
that
it's
means
one,
you
Mm.
that
when
just
it's one a mode of one.
yeah, well,
Specifically.
when it's a mode of one, that's like really nested in there.
Yes.
That means you have to like cycle through. If you don't know that, you got to go through basically every weapon trying to figure out like.
That's the other thing. They tell you they are very in your face with the tutorials in that game.
Oh, okay.
Like, when you find a new enemy for the first time, it's like, here's how you defeat the Kako demon. You can throw a grenade in its mouth, and then it takes you to like a training area in the
Ah.
middle of a level. And
That is.
it takes you
Oh,
to
no.
a gray room
Yeah, I
training
don't-
area, and is like, now try killing these Kako demons with
Yeah.
your grenade launcher. Oh, cool, you figured it
That
out.
just seems like that could have been worked in naturally into the game.
I kind of
Yeah.
think so at times, yeah, but
yeah,
Especially it taking you somewhere else to do a tutorial.
yeah,
that
If
is.
it's the first time you've encountered the enemy and it knows to do that,
the
surely they could have.
Yeah. The most obscene case of that is like the first true boss encounter of that game. They take you out to fight the boss in its own special
Oh my god.
What?
like place where it can't really hurt you. It's just a bit
Yeah.
weird. Yeah. But other than that, like the actual core action of that game is fantastic. Like,
Mm.
they've got this. They really refined the cycle that they started to experiment with in Doom 2016, where in Doom 2016 it's about like blasting dudes.
Mm.
Then when you're running low on ammo, you can use your chainsaw to like get a bunch of ammo back. And I think you might be able to set fire to guys in that one or freeze them. I'm not.
If you can, I have not
Okay,
got
I'm
those
not- I'm
abilities.
not far in it either, as it turns out.
Yeah.
But in Eternal, it's the same mechanics,
Mm.
except that your chainsaw ammo will regenerate over time when you're
Yeah,
when
that's
you're
cool.
out.
I like that.
So if you run out of ammo, you just have to wait and then chainsaw like a weakling. dude,
yeah, yeah,
which is fantastic. It means you always have some means of getting that ammo back as long as you
yeah,
can wait it out.
yeah.
You've got this like fire flamethrower thing that when you set fire to enemies, causes them to leak armor pickups.
Oh,
And if you
okay.
kill the enemy while it's on fire, you get a bunch of armor pickups.
All right.
You've got
Cool.
like
like
a
that.
freezing grenade, which if you kill them while they're frozen, you get a bunch of health pickups.
Hmm.
And then in the expansion, they introduced this like hammer thing, which increases the drops from those things.
Oh my god.
So it's all about like
Yep.
choosing your tool for the
Yeah,
situation,
yeah.
what you require at that
Yeah.
point, but it always keeps you in the combat,
Mm.
right? Which is the core loop of that game.
That's so cool. That does like it. It to me really just feels like a puzzle at that point. Like
Yeah, if
like
to me,
I end up unintentionally in my brain
Yeah.
thinking of it as like a puzzle of like, okay, what's the most efficient way to take out all this group of enemies,
yeah,
and what's the most efficient way to like come out of it with like not actually losing any ammo or
Yeah.
health or armor, you
Yeah.
know?
I see where you're coming from. For me, it always felt more like a jungle gym. Like 'cause
Yep.
these fights are always in these sort of enclosed arenas.
Yeah, yeah,
and there's like bars to swing from, and
yeah.
like warp pads and portals, and it's all about like finding a rhythm so you're constantly on the move.
Mm.
Yeah.
So you can't be like locked down quickly, because when you stop moving in that game, you die real fast.
Mm.
There's just so many enemies, they hit so hard that you just have to be agile and looking
Yeah.
for the next gap, and keeping an eye on all of your ammo, your health, your armor, and making sure that there's always an opportunity to get more of what you need.
Yep.
Mm.
It's a really tight, satisfying loop. And the monster mobility, like the way the monsters move around in those levels, is really impressive. They have done a lot of work to make sure that they don't feel stupid.
Mm.
They will leap up cliffs and
Yeah.
follow you, and
But that's
it's scary and intimidating.
that's the awesome thing that like feeds into that. You have to keep moving because there is no like
there's no safe spot.
there's no safe spot. You
Can't
can't just
camp.
you can't camp because like something will jump up behind you
Yeah,
No.
or just in front of you,
or just in front of you, you know.
or from all directions.
Oh, but like that's because that exact thing had happened to me. When I first started playing, I was like, all right, here's a good spot, and then
Yes.
before I know it, something has like climbed up near me.
Yeah, the level design is very, very good in
Mm.
the game. It's you never feel safe,
Yeah,
but you also never feel trapped.
yeah,
And
and
that's
you
really
never
impressive.
you never feel like powerless either.
Yeah,
To
It's
me,
very, very good.
Yeah.
I fully recommend Doom Eternal,
Yeah.
especially over Doom 2016.
yeah.
Yep.
I also like How do you feel about the art?
The art,
Yeah.
in Doom Eternal,
Or both.
Doom
Or like,
2016.
I rather the art style, because like, I really love how chunky everything is.
Yes, yeah, I can see that. Uh, it's pretty garish in Eternal. Like,
Yeah.
there's like some city sequences, and those are like real over the top. There's a lot of
Okay.
over the top stuff.
Yep, yep. Well, that's, I mean,
particular.
I think that does sum it up, because very much
Like
that game
skulls
is over
everywhere.
the top. Yeah, yeah.
Everything has a skull.
Yeah.
Every button is a skull.
Yeah.
Keys, I'm pretty sure, in the Hell area in 2016 are skulls.
Yeah, yeah, they are.
You collect
yeah, yeah.
skulls to open doors.
Yeah. And even like, I mean, I really do just love the whole like art style of it, because I don't know, that chunkiness of everything really, it just seems cool to me.
Yeah.
And like, there'll be things where you get basically USB in 2016 to upgrade stuff.
Yep.
I think.
Oh yeah.
And they're like these huge like things that like you
rip
pull
them
out
out
of
of
like
the-
someone's like
There's like a
armor
dead
thing.
soldier, and you rip it
Yeah.
out and plug it in
And
yourself.
it's like this fat ass USB thing. And then the key
Yeah.
cards just look like, if these were in real life, like they would look so damn cool.
Yeah, it's you know what's interesting though. So they took it really far in that direction in 2016,
Yeah.
and like they went out of their way to make Doom Guy feel like a big dumb idiot who punches everything to death.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think they realized they took it too far. Like
All right.
like you know in 2016 you find these like drones that have weapon upgrades.
Yeah.
And,
It's just
and you rip the drone, the weapon upgrade off the drone, and then he punches the
Yeah.
drone.
it seems unnecessary, right? You're just
Totally
like, dude, why
unnecessary.
did you do that? He's helping you out.
and it's so unnecessary, and they know it's unnecessary because
Yeah.
it's not there. in
Oh,
it-
right.
in
Yeah.
They still have the weapon upgrade drones, but he just takes it off.
Just gives him a nice pat.
Like he's still like he does brutal things all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
But it's no longer big brutal dumb guy. It's just
Yep.
big brutal guy.
Well,
In fact, I'm gonna spoil a
Yeah.
little moment that I just love.
yep.
And maybe we even talked about it in the past. There's one point where you get teleported to this base that's like orbiting Mars,
Okay.
and you're gonna get the BFG classic weapon.
Oh, cool.
And they
Yep.
have with a BFG 10,000 is like actually this huge turret that's like pummeling like alien spaceships.
Oh, yeah.
And you're gonna rip the like BFG 9000 out of it, basically. So you get teleported into the space base, and the people like are all working and they're busy.
Yep.
They're in the middle of this war, and they turn around, they see you, and like, oh, it's him, and you just kind of walk calmly through, and they're like, oh, sorry, sir, and,
Yeah.
and then you walk past some security guys, and they're like, hey, you can't go through there, and he just like. Your character just kind of takes his gun away. He's like, you can't. And you just keep walking through. Like,
Yeah.
you don't
So
you don't
good.
punch him. You just
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
take
yeah.
him.
Oh, that's so
It's-
good.
So yeah, I really liked it.
The
Great
the vibe I get of the Doomslayer is that like he is just not concerned with human drama.
Yes, he has one job,
Yeah, yeah, and
and he doesn't care about
yeah,
anything else.
because early on in 2016, you have to like you have to activate or shut down these energy points in a facility.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly, but yeah, there's this guy on the radio talking to you about like, you know, how this energy is like massively beneficial for mankind and all
I
this.
know the one. you're
Yeah,
talking
and it's like
about.
all the stuff
Yeah, and it just punches it.
and he just like punches it, and the guy is like, "No, what are you doing?"
He's like-
it's just like,
And he's like, this is your last chance to not punch it.
Yeah.
And he's like, punch.
and when he first goes up to the first one, it's like this audio. The guy on the radio starts by like, "All right, now you have to carefully remove the rods from the thing," and he just like, yeah, punches it. But like, you just know that in any other game, the protagonist that you're playing would have carefully removed these rods, because it's like such an important thing for humanity. And the Doomslayer's just like, fuck,
Yeah,
just
I mean,
smashes it.
ultimately, his whole thing is he doesn't want hell involved.
Yeah.
at all. And the Argent energy, which is what you're referring to. That's
Yeah.
I got into the
Yeah.
lore. Is being drawn from out of the hell dungeon essentially.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so he's just like, nah, you guys are done with this.
Yeah, I think
He's-
I think it's great. He
in many ways he's the parent, and he's taking away all the kids' toys.
it does feel like that, where he's just like, I know better. What the hell are you guys doing?
but he doesn't lecture.
No, he just pushes things and
Exactly.
punches stuff.
I don't remember any dialogue from the main character except for one line. So I
Right.
think- and it's in the end of the expansion.
Oh,
So
okay.
that might
Oh,
just be
wow.
a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. Wow.
Sort of one of those voiceless protagonist situations.
Yeah.
Anyway, great
I like
game.
it. I like it.
Yep.
You just get that vibe. He's above it.
Yep.
He doesn't care.
Um,
That's great.
they 20 Eternal has this like kind of upgrade system. I think 2016 has an upgrade system as well, but Eternal kind of doubles down on it a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the expansion, they completely do away with it. Which
Oh,
I thought
really?
was interesting.
Oh.
I don't know if it was the right choice.
Yeah.
Regardless of your progress in the core game, the expansion content you just have everything.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's weird.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a thing of like, if that's like the last expansion they did, maybe they're just like, this is what people want or something. Like we don't bother putting in new upgrade systems because people just get to the very core of
I
the
say
game.
that they introduced a new upgrade system. It's very
wow.
small. It's very small.
Yeah.
They do away
Yeah.
with the old one. They just give you everything from the old one.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool. I really like it. I found myself.
play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Do it.
Maybe.
Okay, you don't have to.
I'm kind of tempted.
Was it you who told me to play Inscription?
No, I don't
Oh,
think so.
Okay.
I've never heard of Inscription.
Yeah, I don't think I
I've also
have
been
either.
playing that.
What is that?
It is a card game,
Oh yeah.
but there's more to it than that. And I don't really want to say too much more because I think anybody who's played Inscription will understand why. But there's more to it than meets the eye.
Okay.
And that's all.
This is a frog fractions.
Not quite, but it has similar, a similar sense of discovery.
Interesting. Okay. Cool.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, I won't say anything else about that.
Very cool.
Mobile or?
It's not on mobile. I was hoping it would come to mobile, but it never did. It's on Switch though.
Okay.
And I think every other platform at this point, other than mobile.
That's cool. Is Zelda coming this year?
Allegedly May. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So I am gonna try and take time off work.
I
only
love
game I care about.
I love that we are in an industry where that is kind of just like an accepted thing that will happen.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we've had Monday meetings at work where the whole studio is there for a big Monday meeting,
Yeah.
and Chris will be like, "This game is coming out next week, so we expect there'll probably be some people calling in
Yeah.
sick, taking
Yeah.
time off." Like it's just
Yeah.
accepted.
Yeah. I mean, it should be accepted. In fact, to some degree, it should be encouraged.
It should
right?
be because it
It's
is
a learning
It links into your
opportunity.
job. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's like saying like director, you shouldn't be watching movies on.
Yeah.
Like don't take time out to go watch this movie,
Yeah, don't-
Steven Spielberg.
Don't
You should
don't
be
read these
making
science
movies.
journals, scientists.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's research, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So those are
cool.
the majority of the games I played.
Cool. I also played Control, which we talked about a while back.
Yes.
so-
Back when Paul was Severn.
Yeah.
You went
Yeah.
by a different
yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you
That was
remember?
a while ago. No, It was sort of a different personality. So
Yeah,
I tried
yeah.
not to
Oh, yeah,
access.
You hit your head, had that surgery.
It's a Doctor Who
As far
situation.
as I know, like, just woke up and I was on this podcast.
Woke up mid podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, we probably should have left you in the hospital a little bit longer.
Yep.
Do you know about
No control.
yeah.
I can't remember what we talked about it last time.
If I recall, it was mostly graphics.
Yeah, I thought it might be.
It's about a woman with sort of psychic powers in like a facility.
Yeah, I think it's safe to spoil a bunch of stuff because it came out in 2019 now.
Yeah.
At the time, it was like still pretty new. But yeah, the graphic stuff has got like all the awesome reflections and that sort of stuff, which have spooked me while playing
That's kind of good.
because you run into an area and you see your own reflection and shoot at it.
So is it like a horror game?
It's not like super horror
like
filled,
action,
but
right?
it's more of an action. But like there are definitely like some spooky parts where, you're creeping around and you can hear noises and something is out
Yeah.
there. But like yeah, it's not. It doesn't really go in the horror direction all that much. It's definitely more of an action thing. But I really like those sorts of stories of like weird artifacts and like some
Like
secret Eldritch horror and like a secret bureaucracy that like controls them and categorizes them. And it's the only game I've ever played where I have read every single like document that I've picked up.
Yeah.
I've never done that. So Doom, right? You pick up lore stuff. Never
Yeah.
read any of it. Didn't care.
Yes.
Didn't care. I was like, it's a demon from hell. Yeah, I get it. I don't need to know anything else.
Unfortunately, same. And I say unfortunately because I worked with the writer.
Oh no!
I do remember doing that a bunch in Horizon, the first Horizon game.
Yeah. Actually, I did.
I just
did as
really
well,
liked-
'cause, yeah, I was quite interested in how that world got
To where it is,
to where it is. Yeah.
I think it's important that that option exists.
Yeah,
that
for
you
sure.
be able to have a read if you want.
Yeah.
But they don't. It's not forced in front of you.
Mm.
And I think that's okay.
Yeah. It's fine. And like I had been playing Cyberpunk a few months ago, and I had started off, reading all the stuff, and eventually I was just like, I don't care. It's yeah. It doesn't actually matter anymore.
Yeah.
Like, but this was like I read every single thing, and
Can I before you
Yeah.
continue? I'm curious. So in Doom, at least, you're often when you're picking these things up,
Mm.
you're in the middle of action, like or you're
Yeah.
5 seconds from action. Like,
yeah, I think that also leads into
I wonder,
why I've not.
are you
bothered
often?
reading.
Yeah, I haven't played Control, but are you
Yeah.
often like? Is it during downtime that these things?
It's usually during downtime. Like
Right.
you'll run into an area and there a bunch of enemies will spawn.
Yeah.
And you can see because it highlights like objects that you can interact with.
Yeah.
By like picking them up, or it's
Yeah.
like a chest to loot, basically
yeah,
that sort of
yeah.
thing. And so I'll check those out after the fight.
Right.
So once
Yeah.
the fight is cleared, you basically just search the whole room for
Yeah.
information and chests with resources in.
Sure.
And they do so much really cool like foreshadowing of things that just like it just makes the whole thing just feel more alive to me because you can read about like an artifact an hour before you see it,
Right.
kind of thing, and
Yeah, that's cool.
and you'll just like you've read about so many artifacts, but
Because excited when you see
yeah,
it.
when you see it, you're like,
I
oh,
know
that's
that
the
one.
that's the rubber ducky or something. Or like you'll see an artifact that you haven't read anything about yet.
Yeah.
And you'll see it and go, oh, what is that? I don't know. And then,
And then later you'll start reading
later
about
you'll
it.
start reading about it. Yeah, it's really cool.
What's the significance of the artifact?
They all like there's two categories of them, and one of them sort of has more of a gameplay effect than others because one of them is called objects of power, and those things are the things that give you your abilities.
Okay.
And so you sort of like attune yourself to them, which means usually going through some little like challenge. Like you go into a well, I can't remember what they called it, a parallel universe kind of thing.
Tutorial room,
Basically. Yeah, you go to a tutorial room.
Big challenge
Yeah,
level.
yeah. You go to the tutorial room.
Yeah.
It's like the back rooms, but it's like the tutorial room.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you do a challenge that's related to the ability you're just about to get, and then you come out of it and you've got that ability. So one of the first ones you get is this ability to pick things up and throw them. With your mind, not just like your physical body.
just
Okay,
regular
so
picking things.
Yeah,
Grasp the object with your fingers. Yes.
yeah. I mean, you didn't
Pull
do
your
that.
arm back.
You didn't go through the tutorial room as a child when you first learned to pick
I was
things up
just
and
thinking
throw
that
them.
wouldn't it be funny if there was like a tutorial room for all of the basic functions of living, like
Yeah,
to breathe, exhale, inhale.
you come out and go. I know how to do it.
Press B to
Yeah.
inhale. Pull it down.
Press B to.
Exhale. Yeah.
Um.
Food must be chewed before it can unlock energy. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, it's just like that. But yeah, one of the first things you come across is a old floppy disk
Yeah.
that has the ability to basically pick things up and throw them. And the reason you read about this thing
Yep.
beforehand, and it's like got this whole backstory of like it had nuclear launch codes on during the Cold War, and and all this kind of thing. And then you walk into a room and there's this tiny little thing at the end of the room, which is the floppy disk, and surrounding it is all this like swirling debris, which comes flying at you. And so you have to dodge, and you also there's enemies spawning at the same time. So it's like a whole whole encounter. Yeah. And you eventually work your way up towards it, and then you click on it, and you attune yourself to it going into this tutorial room.
Yeah.
And then you go through this tutorial, all related to being able to force lift and force push stuff with your mind. And then you come out of it and you've got this new ability. Cool. And then that also unlocks a whole skill tree of upgrades for that ability.
Wow, okay.
Which is cool. And the thing I didn't realize until I don't know what other abilities will get unlocked because that screen has, I've been playing for ages now, and that screen has 2 whole trees that are just like grayed out. I have no idea, or they're just blacked out. I have no idea what they are.
So does that mean there's specifically 2 more artifacts?
That means there's 2 more artifacts somewhere that I don't know. Well, going to give me 2 abilities. I have no idea what they are. And even when there's abilities that I'm like, I'm sure I'm going to get a double jump. Like this game just feels like the kind of game that will eventually give you a double jump. So I was expecting a double jump. I could see stuff up high that I couldn't get to. I'm like, okay, I'll probably have to come back here when I get a double jump. It just makes sense. Well, their double jump equivalent is just like you just float in the air. Like you just literally fly. And I'm like, I didn't expect that. You just like subverted my expectation and gave me something way cooler.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But yeah, it's so cool. And I really like the whole environment of this like kind of brutalist architecture office.
Yeah.
That just looks so bureaucratic.
Yeah.
And, they've taken these incredible things and just boiled them down to bureaucracy.
Yeah.
And there's just endless offices everywhere.
Faceless government buildings.
Faceless government buildings. And they're all doing like, their departments are like, psychical research or like synchronicity research, all these like weird as like things.
Yeah.
I just really like it a lot. And
it does sound like a really cool world.
it is.
And also,
so cool.
it sounds like exactly what would happen if those things did exist. Is we would just make it a big bureaucracy building.
And the thing, and the thing is, the building itself in this world is an object of power in itself. So it's an anomaly in itself.
Okay.
And the people who have set up shop in it basically don't fully understand how this building works because people you find recordings and you find documents about people just getting lost in the building because the building can just shift unexpectedly and like you hear stories of someone just disappearing from their office used to be there and then the door changed and they're lost and they'll come back later or they'll find like a skeleton of someone that's been and that plays into that plays into a little bit into the kind of gameplay because this place has been taken over by some weird entity.
Yep.
And as you fight this entity throughout this facility, the entity has affected the architecture of the place, so it looks all mangled and stuff like that. And as you clear it out, the architecture reforms back into what looks like a proper normal-ish office space. So you feel this like sense of like safety that you're like clearing things out,
pushing it back.
Yeah, you're pushing it back. It's really cool.
Have you beaten it?
No, I don't know how far away I am either.
How
Because
much time do you reckon you've played?
it's got to be like 30 hours maybe.
That's decent, yeah.
Yeah, but also
On PlayStation?
PC.
PC.
I got DLC with it, which I didn't realize because I bought it on special, and it was like one of those like definitive editions or whatever like that. And playing through, there are hints to their other game, Alan Wake.
Oh, right. Yep.
Yeah. So
Interesting.
which is cool because it totally ties into like the events of Alan Wake are like
anomalous.
you know, and they mention him and some events that happened there, and I was like, oh, that's kind of neat, like, you know, they're tying in that universe thing. And then I just stumbled into DLC that's all about Alan Wake, and,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
didn't even realize. I was like, oh my god, he's like a main character in this now.
Is
Like,
that
what
why
the
they
hell?
re-released Alan Wake?
Maybe. Well, here's the thing. I want to play Alan Wake.
I
They
played that, but
re-released
it was
it
a
recently.
long time ago.
Yeah.
They also do a cool thing. I don't know if Alan Wake did this, but they have live video.
Yeah, they do that in Alan Wake as well.
It's cool. At first, I was like, "That's a bit jarring," but then you get into it because it's all like video recording. So you'll go up to a TV and turn it on, and there's like an actual human there telling you something, and it just adds to this like vibe of the place. And the vibe of the game. I really like it.
I was watching Wall-E recently,
Oh yeah.
and they have Fred
Yes.
Willard, and that I feel, you know, I think I enjoyed it back then, and I love Fred Willard, but it's weird having two kinds of human in the same shot.
I know what you mean.
Yep.
So, yeah, we're out of time.
That's the thing, is that the actual humans never interact.
Yeah.
Like they never. It's always the separation of
Yes.
it's on a screen, or it's a weird memory thing,
Right.
You know, where you're seeing visions of something.
It's also like the humans in that game are not cartoony in the way that they are.
No,
in WALL-E.
no, that's
in
true.
WALL-E,
They're
they
not.
look
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Pixar humans.
Yeah,
which are barely more than blobs with eyes.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to. There's this continual character that you find recordings of. This professor that I have not seen in actual 3D. It's always been real life footage, and a big part of it is trying to find him, and because it's hinted that he knew that this like entity,
Right.
the Bureau was going to come under some sort of an attack, and it's hinted at that he knew about it.
Right.
So finding him is a thing. So it's going to be interesting because he's, I think, the only character that will have a
CGI representation.
yeah,
of this
yeah.
in real life.
Yeah.
You know, I would be surprised if you. I may be.
If that's not awful.
Well, no. My theory is you just won't find him. Like he'll
Maybe,
be
yeah.
destroyed or
Yeah,
something.
yeah.
Or stuck into a portal or
But
something.
I also do think that all the characters are based off actual humans. Like your main character is the actor playing her. That is her. You know, it's just a 3D version of her. You know.
Well, that makes it a little less.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, we are out of time. It's good to be back.
It is.
Hopefully, we'll be back again in a couple weeks.
It should be. I hope.
Unless,
Unless we have another flood.
floods or tornadoes or fires.
Yeah,
Or
we will
Or
all.
we just disappear for 3 months
Christmas.
Yeah, we just disappear again.
We enter the world of control.
Yep.
Any of these things. You can email frenzyquestions@gmail.com. We love hearing from you. Send us your questions. Or just hurl verbal abuse at Blake, specifically.
I love it.
He loves it.
I mean, fan
it is.
interaction. I'm so desperate for human interaction. Just
He wants to be degraded. We'll be back hopefully in a couple weeks. Thank you for listening. Bye. Have you been to Costco yet?
We went once.
I'm a fan.
It was too busy for
Yeah.
me. I don't like places that have that many people in them.
Yeah, or when it first opened, it was just insane. Like just trying to get a membership would take you hours. But
They have big jars of peanut butter powder,
mhm.
which I really want to
powder.
get. Yeah. So they take like peanut butter and they take all the fat out of it.
Oh yeah.
So peanut
just the
butter.
stuff that'll kill you from an allergy.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Oh yeah, it's in powdered form, so it's easy to like throw in eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just sprinkle on someone's food and
Yeah.
then yep.
Just to like, seed out the week.
Yeah, yeah. And then it's like it can't be traced back to you,
No.
except for that receipt you bought for a giant jar of peanut powder.
Yeah.
And then
The
you
fact
just
is
say
we're
you had a
already gonna
hole in
see
your.
here.
Yeah, they can only get it from one place.
Fuck you, brown-handed.
They can't prove it's malicious if you're just like, oh, I just had a hole in my pocket.
What? You're carrying peanut powder around loose
How
in a
else are you gonna
pocket.
carry it around?
Like, what?
What, are you gonna just hold in your hands all day?
Did you used to carry around just regular peanut butter in your
Yeah, it
pocket
makes
and
a
be like, oh
fucking
my
mess."
god, powder, it's so much better for my pocket.
Because like you end up with roughly the same thing anyway. All the oil just runs down your leg.
Yeah. That is annoying.
And you're just
yeah,
left with,
yeah.
like, this
That's-
I've always wondered why one of your legs was extra greasy and you smelled like peanuts.
that is why I stopped storing peanut butter in my pockets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
So now you can get it powderized.
Yeah. Anyway, Costco, pretty good.
Yeah.
Get all your assassination supplies. At
They also
Costco.
had